It's time for Ask Your Auntie, the show that gets real with teen girls about life. They ask, and we answer with tea. Tools for excellence and achievement. The goal? To help girls make better decisions in real time. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie. Now here's your host, Marissa Terrell, Esquire.
Got questions? Ask your auntie. I'm Marissa Terrell, but you can call me Auntie M, and I'm director of the High Tea Society Foundation and host of this podcast, Ask Your Auntie. I think my voice has dropped 2 octaves since I've had this cold, but I am here and super excited. You know, Ask Your Auntie podcast, and we provide teen girls with reliable answers to their questions. I like to call all my girls out there in the world, these are our sugars. And so, sugars, I hope that your day is going well. I hope that if it's not going well, you've got a plan to improve your day yourself, because you have the power to do that, to elevate your mood safely. But I want to introduce you to our guest for today. We've got AunTea Krystal here.
Hello.
Hey, AunTea Krystal.
How are you?
We're great. I'm doing fine. Better.
Okay. You sound fabulous, by the way.
I hope I sound better than I
sound great.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we haven't known each other for a super long time.
We haven't.
But I felt like when we met,
Yes.
we clicked.
We did.
Immediately.
We did.
And hence you are here. Do you want to tell our sugars out there how we met? Do you remember?
Sure. So, well, you know what? Let me share this. We were actually following one another on Instagram prior to us meeting formally in person. I don't think I shared that with you.
Wow, no, I didn't know
Yes.
that. But see, that's what I'm saying. That is the circle of life. That is the social media world and the social media family.
Yes, your
Thank
work
you
with
for saying
intellectual
that.
property and your interest in fashion.
Yes.
I also love fashion as well. So I clicked and yeah, we've been following each other then. But also we had a podcast where we taped. I was actually the host.
That's right. Our roles were sort of reversed.
Yes, they were reversed. And you were my special guest on the show. We were talking to, again, a similar format, talking to some of the young folks. And you and I share a lot in common, finding out that we're both Washingtonians,
Yes.
where your mom worked. She was a judge, and
Right,
I currently...
at the DC Superior Court.
Yes, and I currently work there. That is my place
Right, okay,
of
my
employment.
goodness, and DC Superior Court.
Yes.
That is, now I was a law clerk there many
Wow.
moons ago. It's something to be down there
It
every
is.
day and to be
It
in
is.
the thick of things.
Absolutely. Every day is something different, something new. You know, you go from seeing folks coming for different reasons.
Yeah,
The jurors, they're excited to be there, and others that do not want to be there. And then you see the brides coming in.
That's right. I was
with their
about to say, don't forget the marriage bureau.
Yeah, the marriage bureau downstairs. So it is a treat. I really do enjoy myself. But yeah, that's how we met and we clicked. Some people you just have a nice,
I agree.
you build a quick rapport with.
That's
and we gelled.
I think so. And I think that part of the conversation that we had, you were sort of speaking with me, we were talking about Black girls
That's right.
specifically. And we were talking about what is going on.
What is going on?
Because part of like what our program has been working on is trying to come up with programs that will resonate with our girls as they grow. Because, you know, we change and we mature. Programs that work when we're in the 5th grade don't work in the 11th grade. So we are constantly trying to pivot. But what we were noticing was some very interesting things. We started seeing Black girls on the front pages now of Metro section.
Absolutely. Yes.
In trouble.
Lots
More
of trouble.
so than they've ever been.
Very aggressive. Yeah.
And it was just like we started seeing statistics showing that our girls are the fastest growing population entering into the juvenile justice system, which was shocking.
Very shocking.
We were wondering, what
Quite
is this
alarming.
about?
What's
What
happening?
is happening? So part of just, being a woman in Washington and sort of observing this, what do you think is part of the issue here?
Oh, my goodness, mercy. A number of things. As I mentioned, also being a Washingtonian, our communities have changed
So much.
drastically.
Yes.
You know, I can't imagine growing up now, right, and not having the eyes and ears of my caring neighbors.
Yes,
Let's
looking
start
out
there.
for you.
Right, when we're
gently
younger.
saying and maybe not so gently saying,
Exactly. You know,
what are you doing?
What's going on? You know, oh, I'm going to call your mom, or even, things like sitting out on the porch and being there when you arrive from school. And that was part of the neighborhood watch.
That's right.
Yes,
the aunties, the
uncles,
play aunties.
Yes, the grandmothers,
the
the
extended
surrogates.
family.
Absolutely. And we don't have that safety net like we once.
Not as much so. And so that's sort of where this podcast comes in.
Yeah.
We want to be the play aunties.
Absolutely.
We want to be the network, sort
Ask
of that
us.
virtual village that you can, because I remember me growing up, I spent my life sitting under the table, sitting under the chair, behind the door, trying to listen to grown folks' conversations.
So they never put you out?
They didn't know I was there.
They didn't know you were there.
Was quiet, super quiet. And then I would just be listening. I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, I don't want to be like her. or I want to do that. So I wondered, I thought as I was thinking through trying to create something like this, would it be helpful to be able to eavesdrop on our conversations? And that's kind of what this
Keeping
is.
It real.
Yes,
Right?
I want our sugars out here to know that, you can tune in, you can listen to us, you can hear Auntie Krystal, thinking back to her high school days.
Oh, my
you can
goodness.
hear Auntie M thinking about her high school days and maybe what we did that we thought was fantastic.
Sure.
Maybe what happened that we want to avoid if we could have done it again. That kind of thing. We want to build up the resilience of our girls.
And that's unselfish and that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's
we are
amazing.
Happy that
you're
you're
doing it.
here.
Yeah,
and we want to, we want to learn some things about you, Auntie Krystal. Because
sure.
one of the things we tell our girls is that, you can't take directions from someone who's lost.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and we know that you're not lost, and so
And
we want to kind of
let's talk. Let's
chat.
We're
gonna talk, and we're gonna say we've got to kind of get to know the people that are advising us.
Absolutely.
So we know that, that we know that we don't live with you and we don't know you, but we want to, so tell us, first of all, what is your full name? Who are,
so I tell everyone, if you were to ever meet me, I am Krystal with a K.
Krystal with a K.
And when people meet me, they say, oh, hi, Krystal with a K. They never forget it, right?
Okay.
So Krystal, last name, surname is Branton, Branton, and I'm first generation Washingtonian.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome to the party.
Thank you. And my brother and I, we're first generation. My parents are from South Carolina.
Okay.
High school sweethearts, grew up in the same small rural town. Oh. My mom decided to accept a job here in D.C. My dad was so in love. He could not resist. And so he moved here to follow her. Exactly.
Okay, sugars, listen up.
Yes.
Some folks want to know what love looks like. It's an action word. It's a
traveling
verb.
9 hours away from your hometown.
What are they doing?
Yeah, and so now they're both retired. I'll get that later. They're both retired government workers.
Okay.
And so my brother and I matriculated through D.C. public schools. Started with Marie H. Reed and Adams Morgan. Went on to attend Paul and Rabot Junior High. And then myself, Coolidge Senior High School. And my
wow, great
Coolidge
band.
Great, and I was in the band.
Okay.
Saxophone player.
Were you?
Shout out to the,
I think
to the wind instruments.
I was in band, but we practiced at Coolidge on the weekend because it was like this national band practice for a citywide band. And so I would go up there. I was the flute.
Really?
Yes.
See, more in common, right? And so, I matriculated, then graduated from Coolidge. A wonderful high school experience, very much involved in high school, on the homecoming committee, in the band, and
so you
anything.
Were just popularity.
In a way, somewhat of an introvert.
Really?
Right, but in a safe way.
Okay.
Right? So I was seen, but I wasn't necessarily heard. And we'll talk about that as the show goes on. Graduated from Coolidge. I said, I want to get away for a while. And I went further south to Atlanta. And so I was there for 4 years. I attended Clark Atlanta University, majored in criminal justice. Graduated, and I just knew. I said, I want to return home to attend Howard University. Yes, criminal justice. Yeah, I wanted to be an FBI agent. Look at that.
Is that because you watched? What made you want to be an FBI? I'm just curious. I
love putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
So you've got that.
The analytical mind. And the visual piece, right? And so it takes a little bit of everything, studying people, a bit of psychology, sociology. I said,
well, you in the right city for that.
Exactly.
Okay, so how did that work out?
So I ended up having a change of heart. My senior year, I took a class, it was called Juvenile Delinquency. And it just blew me away. And I said...
in a way that made you...
That made me say, I want to enter this field, but to do it from a proactive stance and helping our folks in the communities where I could be on the other end of helping to provide those resources.
I see.
And preventing us from entering in the system through law enforcement. Right?
That's very interesting.
Isn't it?
I think that was sort of our founder's journey because she started off school teacher, principal, and then became a prosecutor, then a judge, and then came back. It's like that because she was thinking that maybe inside the system she could.
But you have to be outside of it.
So I
now
think
some of us are meant to be in it, right?
Surely,
you need those eyes and ears. But I took that class and it just changed my whole world.
Wow.
And so once I graduated, returned home, wanted to become a bison, and I did.
And you did.
And I did. And I entered the School of Education, did psychology. From there, went into social work so I could learn more about program development, grant writing, resource development, to go back, to return to the communities, to get them and to arm them with what they need, to empower them, to engage the folks in the community, right? To uplift and elevate our families.
Okay.
And in a way, indirectly and directly, right?
That's a lot of work, too.
It's a lot of work.
It's all work.
It's all work.
but it's the impact is so much. It's great. Great impact. And a lot of, you're sort of on the front lines, though. So,
absolutely. Yes, as a social worker.
Yes.
And what really is so interesting, once I returned home, first of all, there aren't many, I wouldn't say it's not many of us, but it's rare that you would meet someone in the professional world and they're like, oh, I grew up in D.C.
True.
I was educated in D.C.
That's true.
My family's
We have a lot of
from here.
transplants.
Very much so. And they're welcomed, but you could tell by those that are still here, our elders and the younger folks, when they meet us, their eyes, it's
true,
something about the eyes.
Because D.C. is a small town.
Very, very much so.
At the core. And so when you're from here, it's sort of like, oh, okay, so you kind of remember and you kind of understand the neighborhoods and and the changes that have occurred and all of that.
Absolutely. Yes. And our young folks are like, wow, so you moved away, you're back, you're working, So their eyes just light up and I love that. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I feel comfortable.
Okay.
Moving into phase 2 of this conversation.
Let's talk.
I feel like I could trust this woman. I want to hear more about how you're thinking. And now that I know that you're trained, I even more want to hear what you have to say about some of our questions. So as we sort of plow ahead into part 2 of this with our Q&A portion, we want to dedicate this episode to someone.
Okay.
And I think, tell us who are we dedicating today's podcast episode to?
Great question. I think anyone who hears this podcast.
All our sugars out there.
All of the
We
sugars.
are dedicating this to you.
Yes.
Yes. So we are dedicating AunTea Krystal's podcast episode to all of our sugars out there because we want great things for you.
Yes, we do.
We want you to feel empowered and beautiful,
inspired,
confident, yes, and full of the spirit. Right?
Absolutely.
We want you to be able to discern and to make good choices.
And
right?
we're passing the torch, right? We're passing the baton. Someone passed them to us.
And we want to pass it forward.
We want to give them to others, our young ladies out there. So I'm excited.
Okay, let's jump in.
Let's jump in.
Here's the first question.
All
and we
right.
know that a lot of our questions are coming from Washington Leadership Public Charter School.
Sure.
And some
Hey,
questions
ladies.
that are, in Northeast. And some of our questions are being sent to us, DM to us at High Tea Society INC on Instagram. But the first one is, my mom is way behind on the rent and I'm thinking of dropping out and getting a job to help her out. What should I do? What do you think?
Yeah. Do not leave school. We want you to remain in school. I understand the urgency, right? It's something that's a very sensitive topic. We're talking about, having a roof over your head, food in the refrigerator, and things of that nature, and taking care of utilities. But I will say, because the position that I'm in, we have so many programs and resources in the district that can assist families. Okay, so you're not in this alone. There are a number of ways that we can connect you with programs that would help to pay your mom's rent.
Whoa, look at
Yes, from anywhere from a month or even up to a year. Okay, so just know that you have that safety net there.
Okay.
And I'm here to tell you that in the flesh that you do not have to leave school to help your mom.
I love that. And see, this is why you find an expert. So we are going to have in our, that you'll be able to click on with this episode, a few links of where you can go.
Absolutely.
And we also want you to think about, it's not like all or nothing. Like if you want to take on a part-time job, just to sort of help out, like maybe there's something you need, you know, or maybe there's something that you think you might be able to help mom out. We want you to stay in school.
We definitely want you to stay in school.
If you think that there's something that, there's of course, take a part-time job, work on the weekends. Do something after school a few days a week, but you've got to think long term now.
Absolutely.
Because if you drop out, it's going to limit the possibility or the future for you. It's going to limit the amount of money you can make
I was
going
just about to say that
forward.
Your pay.
Go ahead, Krystal.
Yes, your pay. So, once your work experience also determines your income in the future. And so it may look great now, but imagine with that high school diploma, or you attend a school for 2 years and get your associates, your bachelor's, you can almost demand and negotiate your salary.
Right, much more.
Okay?
Long-term money. We're talking long-term money.
Long-term money, right. So we're here. No, stay in school, sweetheart. Do not leave school. We're here to help you, and those links will be provided. Okay? So we want to come to that graduation and watch you turn your tassel.
Yes.
And we have our handkerchiefs, and we're crying. I'm always crying during graduations because we're going to be proud of you, right? So all is well, no pressure, no stress.
And so I love this idea. We're trying to teach agency. We know that you're in high school and that you're still a child, grown up to be a young woman. But yeah, the internet is a wonderful tool. Okay.
Google is our friend.
That's right. And so you're looking for some free resources in the District of Columbia.
Yes.
What is the name of the agency that they might start to look if they wanted to look?
Great question. So we can look at Department of Health and Human Services.
Health and Human Services.
Yes, Department of Behavioral Health, right? Depending on location, where they are in the city. We also have DCHA, Housing Authority, right? So the list continues.
Okay.
It's just a matter of what direction we want to go in. And I would love to have more conversations if that should come up.
That's right.
With that mom to know where exactly she is.
Exactly.
So we
Bring
can point
mom
you
into the conversation.
We want her to invite her in.
Wouldn't it be great if you were to share a couple links with your mom so that she will not feel like she's all alone in this?
No.
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
And that would be a huge help.
Yes.
To take some of the load off.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I love that answer. We handled that. Okay. Here's another one.
Sure.
All right. My boyfriend keeps pressuring me to try edibles or to smoke with him. I think he's going to break up with me if I don't join in. What should I do?
Now listen.
Okay. Let's get real. Okay. What is this really about?
Okay. So edibles, it is legal in a sense in the District of Columbia.
If you're over, I think it's 21.
21.
So that means in high school, no ma'am.
Right, no ma'am. Right.
Okay.
You should not. But let's be honest to say that some people, during this age, you experiment.
Yeah, they
right. And let's be honest. And when I was in high school, some of my classmates experimented with marijuana, cannabis, however you refer to it, or our parents would say reefer, right? But I would say a number of reasons I would say not to do it. And because, now marijuana is being laced with a number of different chemicals. We are hearing about fentanyl and, all these other additives that are being placed with or baked or however it is curated with the marijuana or marinated. And it can cause long-term health effects.
Yeah.
It really can.
Yeah. So there's risk now. So now this is a balancing test. You're saying to yourself, what's the likelihood that this is pure? One.
Absolutely.
You don't know who really made it. You might know who you're buying it from, but you don't know, and you might not even know that if someone's giving it to you.
Not. Yes.
So you can't really trust that.
You can't trust it, right? And then there are jobs, other opportunities that you may want to seek that will require drug testing.
And how long does this stuff stay in your system? Ooh, a long time.
And some people say, the home remedies. We drink a certain amount of water. Let's talk, Marissa, right? A certain amount of water, all these different vitamins that you can do. But guess what? Now people are pulling hair strands. There are other ways that they're testing. And so you don't want to cut yourself short. You work so hard in school and you want to be able to access any opportunity that's put in front of you. right? And so a couple of puffs it isn't worth it. It just isn't worth it. Or in this case, the edibles of eating it, ingesting something. So I would say, let's pass, but not puff pass. Let's pass.
Let's pass. Let's say no.
Let's say no.
Let's say no. And then
let's say no.
I sort of think about, it's always so hard because as a teen, you get tired of people telling you what to do.
Yes.
You get tired of people telling you no. And I used to hate the no's without an explanation, right? So what we're trying to do is to give you some of the reasoning why.
Yes.
So we know, of course, your brain is still developing, so that there's that. When you're taking these substances, what you're doing is you're hurting the part of the brain that makes the decisions, right? And you need your brain to make these decisions. It's hard out here trying to navigate on the bus, trying to get home, trying to have your head on the swivel, making sure you avoid
just being
this
alert.
person, right? So if you're sort of inebriated or slowed down, you're not going to be able to pick up on cues that this person is dangerous.
That is
or
true.
I shouldn't go here. In fact, you don't even really hear your intuition like you used to.
That is very true.
And that's the spirit trying to talk to you. You don't get to hear those that don't do this.
That warning.
Don't go there.
Yes.
Be careful of this. All of that. That's a problem. And then let's talk about the person you're dating. Why is it that significant others may want you to smoke or drink before you guys go out? What's that all about? Right?
And thank you for bringing that up. And your significant other, this person, would not suggest that you do anything that could put you in harm's way, right? Whether it's immediate, right? Whether it's temporary or long-term. That's a decision that you should make on your own. But if someone is giving you an ultimatum and saying, hey, in order to hang out with me or in order for this relationship to work, and that's being manipulative.
And
extremely
you have to start to look at
manipulative.
that person now. Now that's a red flag because what this person is saying to you is, I need you to have your defenses down to hang out with me.
Right.
I want to be able to do X, Y, Z with you. Maybe there's a place you wouldn't go if you were like in your, your typical straight, sober mind, right? Or maybe there are people you wouldn't want to be around, or something you might not do if you were like in full control of your faculties.
Right.
Because you have to think, if they were to leave you someplace, or if they they got your phone or something, how are you going to navigate your way out if you're in that state?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to protect yourself.
Start
Your
creating
number
those
one.
boundaries.
Your
You
number
are
one
number
is
one.
yourself.
And create your boundaries.
Your body.
Yes.
And you don't want folks to be able to take advantage of you, because it's hard enough as women, right? For us to stay in control of our bodies and in control of what we want to do because of abuse and other things. Don't give people a reason
Do not.
to be having regrets, okay?
Right.
So that's on the serious tip. We really want you to be safe out here. And you certainly don't want to do that when you're by yourself.
No. And you can have so much fun doing other things.
Oh, man, absolutely. I feel like I was always a designated person.
Really?
I was always a sober friend because I'm a lightweight and I already knew there's no point in me acting a fool at this event or anywhere else. So I was like, I'll hold your coats. That was my job, and I was fine with it because I did not.
Yeah.
And these days with cameras, people videotaping you doing crazy stuff and bullying
have
you.
cameras, everything, right? And
Don't
it
give it to
lasts
them. Don't give them a reason.
forever. Once it's taped, it's taped. Yes. Oh, these are good.
Okay,
I love their questions.
These are good questions. I think
these are
we're
great
going to
questions.
try. Wow, our time zips by.
Wait a minute.
Here's one more.
Okay.
How do I know if I have a toxic friendship? That this person maybe is not looking out for me or taking advantage of me?
Great question.
Not dating them. We're just hanging out.
Platonic friends. I would say, honestly, your intuition tells you.
Yes, it does.
You know how you feel when you're around someone and you feel great in their presence, right? You feel good. You're smiling. You feel your best. Even if you're down, they have this energy about them and they're radiating, right? That's the spirit person, right, that you need to tap into and always make sure that you're tapped in, right? And that's what we talked about, where we just connected, we gelled. So always follow your spirit woman.
Yeah.
It's there to talk to you.
It's important. Right? And you've got the thing is that, that's that intuition. You want to be able to recognize her voice, and you want to be able to follow that voice. but it takes practice.
It does.
Right?
It does.
So this is right now in your high school years, you're starting to develop. What does she sound like? How do I know when I'm like, I know for me, when I'm around people that don't gel with me, I get like this tingle in the back of my neck. It's like this feeling of
the nerves.
It's like, and then I feel like this energy, like this blood rush through my nose. It's like I feel like these symptoms, and I say, okay, something is not right here.
It's funny. I feel drained.
Okay, so you feel
when I leave a person's presence, I don't feel.
Okay.
I don't feel that my cup was filled. I feel like you're pulling from me, right? And I feel depleted.
You feel depleted. So if you're not sober, you don't recognize these things. You can't build on them. But if you are sober and you start to understand, then yes, it's about how you feel around this person. But you're also looking at how do they treat you.
Very good.
Okay. Or do you feel like they are constantly belittling you, making you feel small?
Or always asking
for something from you?
Right.
Do they only call you when they need something? Do they only come to your house when they're hungry? And that might be something else. So maybe you can still be charitable, but you need to understand where you fit.
Absolutely. You're saying, or when you're having conversations, you're always asking how they're doing.
And they're not asking how you're doing.
They never ask you.
There's no reciprocity.
No reciprocity. No give and take.
And when you're around other people, like the things that you might have shared with them, that was a secret.
Yes.
They are exposing that.
With
That's
others.
a problem.
That is very much a problem.
And so what that means is that ding, 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 this person is not looking out for me. And so what can I do to protect myself? Doesn't mean you need to cut them off per se, but you need to watch.
Right.
This.
And also determine how much access that you want to provide. And that was something I struggled with growing up when I was younger.
It's
very hard. Right.
You
want to have a great time. You want to make the have those awesome memories.
Right.
But when you notice you're overspending money that you do not have, you're allowing folks to borrow things they never return.
And they return it, or they do, and it's like messed up, broken. Yes. They don't say they want to fix it or
reimburse you for that item.
Yep.
So pay attention, right? Yep. Pay close attention to how you feel around that person.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is a very spirit-filled conversation. and for me, that goes back to my God and how I worship. For me, that's part of how I build that. What I do know is that if you want to have a strong intuition, you've got to be kind and you've got to pass it forward, meaning like that positiveness doesn't stay with you if you're doing the wrong things, right? You're not able to have discernment. That's my experience.
That is true.
When I start like making bad decisions, treating people any kind of way, I notice that I don't have the same strength to be able to discern. That's awesome. I like lose part of. I feel like I lose my Wonder Woman superpowers.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like if you want to get into this and really be able to rely on. And I feel like as women, that's part of who we are.
That is true. And I want to add something too, Marissa. With the young ladies who are sugars, just know that when you really start to build your group, your tribe.
Yes.
Just keep in mind that your tribe may not look like you.
No.
May not be from the type of neighborhood that you're from. Keep an open mind, right? Because sometimes we limit ourselves.
Right, to what we see.
And just what we know, and you would think sometimes you don't have anything in common with someone based on appearance.
Right.
But having good conversation and following your intuition. And you'd be surprised, you gather all of those friends together and all of them look different. But one thing they do have in common is that the respect that they have for you, the respect you have for them, and that you genuinely care about one another. Because sometimes I'm noticing with the young ladies, all of their friends look alike.
Right.
Because they're just basing it completely on the exterior. On appearances.
That's a way that we're taught in this world to act, right? But we know that spirit is bigger than that, that it actually sees to the core of people. And that's really what we're talking about. When we talk about how do you know you're in a toxic relationship? How do you know if people have your best interest? Why is this person feeding you these drugs or whatever? What you're trying to do is to look to their core.
Yes.
Who is this person?
Their values.
Can I trust this person?
Yes.
Because when people have bad intentions for you, you need to be able to see that so that you can go the other way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Pivot quickly. Yes.
Out of danger because this is your body, this is your life.
Well, they say thank you, but no thank you.
Okay. All right. So
Are we running out of time?
I feel like we're running out of time, and I'm having.
We're just having a good time.
I feel like you're coming back, Auntie
we need
Krystal,
to.
because
This is
I feel like we have so many more questions.
Oh my
But I'm gonna
Yes.
say thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
For sharing your tea with us today. You know, growing up in DC is hard, but sugars, you don't have to do it alone.
You do not.
Join us every week for reliable answers to your questions. I'm Auntie M. Director of the High Tea Society. Please DM me at High Tea Society, INC. We have the tea to help girls succeed, and that would be the tools for excellence and achievement.
Yes.
You've been listening to Ask Your Auntie with your host, Marisa Terrell, Esquire. The transition from girlhood to womanhood can be difficult without guidance. We have the tea to help girls succeed. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie.